I'm out here during this brief break from all of the snow and hail and wind and frost that we've been having to talk to you about row cover and why it is such a useful tool in your garden, along with a couple things that you might want to know before you get started. So the first thing to know is that it comes in light, medium, and heavy weights, and the trade-off is really how much protection it offers versus how much light and rain can get through. I just use the medium weight because it offers a nice balance between the two. So the first thing is that it obviously protects from frost. Also, it protects from wind and hail damage, which can be very important in the early spring as temperatures and weather are just so unpredictable and crazy. A lot of people don't know that your last frost date is not 100%. You have about a 30% chance of still experiencing a killing frost after that date for all of your things like tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, squash, anything that really loves the heat. They can't even survive a little bit of frost. So if it gets down to 34 degrees or lower, I'm definitely putting this on my garden and sometimes doing 2 layers just for that one night. You can use them on hoops like I have here. These are just bendable stainless steel hoops that I got from my local garden center. I know a lot of people use PVC, but really as long as it's something that stays upright on its own and you can attach the blanket to it, then you're good to go. You can also use them flat, and this can help with things that need consistent moisture for germination over a long period of time, like carrots. But if you know you're gonna have a lot of rain, then try to make sure that the blanket isn't actually touching the leaves of your plants, because if this freezes onto your leaves, then that's not good either. The next major benefit is pest protection. You just wanna tuck the sides of the blankets in as deep as you can to prevent pests getting in. So this is amazing for aphids and cabbage moths and all kinds of things that emerge in the spring and are flying around searching hungry for your plants. But it also really shines when you're talking about squirrels or cats or birds. If you struggle with those things, a physical barrier is honestly one of the only ways that you can actually deal with 4-legged creatures. The next huge benefit and huge time saver is that this allows me to skip hardening off. Now, this is just my experience, and I know that everybody's different with this, but what I do is just bring the plants out, sometimes just plant them out and put this on, and they do fine. Sometimes I'll bring them out in their trays for a couple days just under this, and that allows them to get used to the harsher environment without having to really deal with the full amount of sun, wind, all of that stuff. The next major benefit is that it increases the temperature under this. It creates kind of a mini greenhouse, so you can extend your season. Last year I planted some beans, and I don't know why, but I forgot to use this, and I lost these beans that were just about ready to a killing frost. So what often happens, at least in our climate, we'll have one hard freeze and then like 2 or 3 weeks of great weather. And so something like this can really get you through that extra couple weeks on the end of your gardening season. The last thing the temperature increase really does is get those heat-loving plants off to a better start. So just because they can be planted out doesn't mean they like it. So things like melons and sweet potatoes, squash, they really need higher soil temperatures to actually start growing. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but if you plant your tomatoes out, they'll just sit there until the soil temperatures are raised a little bit. So this helps to establish them and get them off to just a much stronger start. So a couple things to watch out for is that this can absolutely blow away if you live in a really windy area. We get like 30-mile-an-hour winds through here sometimes. So tucking them in on the sides, securing it with rocks and these clips really makes a big difference. I've come out here in my pajamas with these things about to fly away on a couple of occasions, and I want to save you from that fate. Another big one is that pests that overwinter in your soil can get trapped in there. On that same note, pollinators can't get in, so you want to make sure that you remove this once you start seeing flowers. Even if they are male flowers, that really helps the bees kind of establish a pattern as they're flying through. So remove this once you see flowers. And then the last thing, you just don't want to let it get too hot in there. So this is raising it maybe 5 degrees Fahrenheit. The heavier one will raise it a little bit more, the lighter one raises it a little less. but certain crops really don't like higher temperatures and will kind of suffer if it gets too hot under there. The last thing I really don't like is that these are made out of a synthetic material, and I hadn't really considered that before buying these, but I think that you can probably just use a cotton sheet. If the thread count is kind of low, then that probably will offer about the same benefit. Gardener Supply sells one for like $80, which is too much for a cotton sheet in my opinion. So in the future, I might just try thrifting some cotton sheets, using them, seeing how they do, and comparing the results at that point. But these are about $20-ish for a good long, like 50-foot by 7-foot, I think is what I got. And then I just cut them into about 4 pieces. So if this video has been helpful to you, please hit the like button so that other people can see it, and I will see you next time.